Good morning, good afternoon, probably good evening to everyone who has joined us today. If I'm not mistaken, this is the fifth meeting, online meeting. And I'm really happy to be the host or to be the meeting leader today. And thank you for everyone who assigned the roles. And I would like to encourage everyone who didn't assign, but who joined like a ghost this meeting. Please take active part in the meeting. Practice, practice, and practice. This is the best opportunity what you can get. Okay, let's come to our agenda. And we have some roles that would help our speakers to improve their speaking skills and to be to be in the time frame and so on. The first role what I would like to present is the timer. As a timer will be Coca, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm the grammarian.
Sorry, sorry. I'm sorry. Timer will be Florina, yes? Florina, could you please briefly explain what I'm going to do and so on?
Okay, so as a timer, I prepared some pictures. There are some clocks on different backgrounds. The green one, I don't know if you can see. It's okay. Can you see it?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, this means that you still have a lot of time to prepare your speech. This one means that you're close to the ending, and this one means that you're out of time, actually.
Okay, thank you very much. Probably could you please write also in the chart the names? Yeah, green,
Okay,
red.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you very much. Yeah, the next role will be grammarian. Yes, Coca, the stage is yours. Could you please explain what you're going to do today?
Right. Thank you, Anastasia. My role today as a grammarian is twofold. One is to give you the word of the day, and the second part of my role today is to listen for good usage of English and not so good, let's say poor use of English, and gently report to you at the end of the meeting about some corrections we can have and highlight the good use of English as well. Now, for the word of the day, today I have an idiom. Now, the idiom I've chosen for today's meeting is every cloud has a silver lining. Every cloud has a silver lining. I'll just share with you this slide. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Every cloud has a silver lining. The meaning of this is to be optimistic. Even difficult times lead to better days. This pandemic is being, we are running through this pandemic at the moment. Well, it will pass. We are going to see a silver lining soon. Right. I hope everybody will use this word whenever you get a chance to speak. That's all for me, Anastasia.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Coca, and thank you for this wonderful idiom, which we for sure will use today.
Right. Let me stop sharing. Yes. Right.
Okay, and now I would ask you everyone to welcome the first speaker of today. With the thought of the day, it will be Tamara.
Hello to everybody. Just a minute, please. Has it ever happened to you that you felt utter despair because your life's work didn't yield the desired results? Maybe you started to think that no one needs what you do and you are just wasting your precious time, that somewhere in your life you did make the wrong choice. Oh, then I understand you. It happened 4 years ago when I was still quite naive and thought that all people are ready to change their life in my village and then in the whole country for the better. That everyone understands that in order to improve something, you need to do something in this direction and not just emphasize their shortcomings. Having such thoughts, two my colleagues and I decided to start our public activity. We became the first organization in our district to start it. Of course, it wasn't easy enough because people didn't understand why we are doing it. What was our goal? They thought, are they earning a reputation and want to come to power? Maybe somebody pays them for it. Only a few understand that we follow the call of our souls. And here I'm not sure. The first thing we started to do was project management. We came to the local authorities to enlist their support and to do good things together. But apparently, um, they didn't belong to those people who understood the call of their heart. Then the three of us decided to do something practical for our village and start, for example, a park. Have you ever planted a single tree? Then you can probably guess how much effort it takes to plant and grow 500 trees. To make long story short, during these 4 years, our hands have been lowered and our hearts broken many times. But how valuable were these outstretched hands of help in those dark times for us? So, when you do something with pure thoughts, there will always be something that will help you to revive from the ashes. Believe in yourself. And every cloud has a silver lining. That's all.
Thank you, Tamara, for this wonderful speech. It's really a very good beginning of the day for everyone. And yeah, now, dear participants, could you please share your feedback? Yeah.
Does the grammarian comment now, or he comes back later at the end of the
Late
meeting?
at the end of the meeting.
Okay, I'll share some
Yeah, thank you.
some
Alexander.
feedback then. No one is daring enough to do this. I like the way I like the overall structure of this speech. I like that it had a very clear message. It was quite focused. I like that it involved a personal story. These are always very engaging. They're very relatable. Especially I like the start, a question to the audience. And now some things that I would improve. Were you reading the speech?
Yes.
Yeah, that was seen in your eyes. That's an important thing. Although these are the first times you're speaking, and notes are theoretically allowed even in physical meetings, but you should try to rehearse it so that you don't need to be reading it, and that will prevent first somehow artificial eye contact. And then what happened to you is that you went, I don't know if you misread or the pages got up or down or scrolled out of the screen, and then you were lost. Other than that, I would just also try to avoid that tagline that people add after their conclusion, which is "that's all" or "thanks." There is an urge to say that. It's what I call what I call the cartoon ending. That's all, folks. No need for that. You ended perfectly well. although I'm not sure how proper was the idiomatic expression at the end. It was like a bit shoehorned. But okay, that was a nice conclusion, and I think you should just end it there. And if you just keep quiet, I think people will notice that you have finished.
Okay, thank you very much. I am at the deadline, and that's why I wrote this speech 1 hour ago. That's why I was reading. And I have chosen another proverb, but I have changed it on the proposed one. Thank you for your feedback.
Thank you, Alexander, for your feedback. Does anybody else want to share the feedback? Okay, yeah, then now thank you very much to Alexander and to Tamara for your speech and for your feedback. And then we're coming to the next session of the meeting. I'm really curious how it will be the first time. And the crossfire. Okay, Alexander, I guess you will explain at first, or are we, or Chris will explain how it will.
I will explain it. Chris
Okay.
is going to be the victim or the courageous presenter. The crossfire section is a new, it's not new, it was planned a long time ago, although right now we're starting. It's a bit of an advanced section. The goal is training people to defend their viewpoints in the face of, let's say, inquisitive questioning. That inquisitive questioning, the kind that you see in real life, can sometimes become outright hostile. And you need to be able to stand your ground without reacting emotionally or without using your temper. And for the way it works is a presenter, in this case will be Chris, will role play an executive role in some organization, and he'll communicate the decision that has been made. And the rest of the participants, anyone that wants to join, this should have been prepared by the participants because it's all about research as well. We should grill him and dispute him, or maybe support him, I don't know, that's up to each participant. In general, we're going to play the role of stakeholders. This could be concerned citizens, members of a board, shareholders, journalists, politicians, depending on the situation. So Chris has chosen to be the head of the International Olympic Committee. He will have 2 to 3 minutes to explain his decision, and then each of us, the people that want to participate will have up to 1 minute to ask questions, and then he'll answer. And this can repeat until the time is over. So the floor is yours, Mr. President of the International Olympic Committee.
Chris, you're on mute. Chris, we cannot hear you.
Thank you, Alexander. The IOC is now committed, together with the Japanese Prime Minister, Abe Shinzo, that the Olympics will go ahead from the 21st of July 2021 until the 8th of August 2021. However, due to the unexpected continued impact of COVID-19, full 3-layer masks will be compulsory for all spectators as well as all athletes. On entry into Japan, all participants and officials will be required to remain at the quarantine site for 14 days before moving to the Olympic Village. Furthermore, daily temperature readings will be taken on all athletes. Any athlete with a temperature above 38 degrees centigrade will not be allowed to compete and will be placed in isolation. Spectators with an above normal temperature will be removed by special Japanese health officials. Japan has managed the virus very well so far, with less than 20,000 total cases and under 7,000 active cases at this point. However, with an extremely dense population distribution, especially around Tokyo, and a population of 126 million plus, Japan will need to strictly control any spread for years to come. The death rate in Japan is very high, sitting at 7.1% of closed cases, largely due to the aging population. If COVID-19 were to get out of control in Japan, they could face over 8 million deaths. And the Japanese government has insisted that all precautions will be taken. While this decision is not taken lightly, it is clear that only in this way will the Games be allowed to continue. But there is a silver lining to this dark cloud. With this measure of protection, the local population, the sportsmen and women, and the many officials on duty will be at least partially protected. It will also give some assurance to competing nations that their top athletes will be returning home in a healthy condition. Special protective gear will be manufactured for all the athletes. But if their countries want to produce their own gear in national colors, that can be done as long as it complies with the IOC design. I trust that this decision is accepted by all member nations and that all athletes immediately start training with masks so that they can perform at their best at the 2021 Olympics. See you there.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any questions that you might have?
I have a question. Can I ask?
Sure, go ahead. Up to 1 minute.
Right. Okay. Mr. President, my question is that, so you said that you are going to have a limited number of spectators for the Olympic, but even there also there is a risk of getting the COVID-19 through there as well, because as you know, it can be contagious even in the incubation period. In the incubation period, you cannot be detected by the temperature of that of these patients. So even there also there will be some suspected patients in their inspectors. So why can't you have this without spectators? Only the players can be being there.
Mr. Kuduheti, the reason why we are allowing spectators is because spectators are a very important part of the Olympics. It assists the athletes to perform at their best. Also, you will notice that all people going into Japan at that point, not only the athletes, but all others as well, will be doing the full 14-day quarantine before being released onto the streets of Tokyo. Furthermore, with a daily check-in at the site, any chance of having missed someone with COVID-19 will be picked up at that point. I do not think it presents an over risk which is too great. Are there any other questions?
Okay, Mr. President, I have a question. More than a silver lining, it looks to me like a pie in the sky, because according to the official statistics, Tokyo has a capacity of 100,000 hotel beds. So considering that the Olympic attendees are 4 or 5 times that amount, I don't know how on earth they are going to spend 14 days in quarantine, and who is going to pay for that?
Mr. Ristov, who pays for them is their own concern. They will obviously have to accept the costs of the 14-day quarantine, the individual people coming into Japan. The number of beds that you mentioned, is that hospital beds? Let's just clarify that.
No, that's hotel beds.
The 100,000 hotel beds. Fine. That still isn't a problem, because if people come all at the same time, it may be a problem, but we've found from previous research that most people come in to watch the Olympics come up to 3 months before, so they will actually have that time spread over quite a long period when they're arriving into the country.
Yeah. Mr. President, I have one question. Do the athletes need to wear the protect mask? And if yes, how are they going to participate in the competition? For example, the runners, because they need to breathe in and breathe out in a proper way, and the mask will prevent that.
Thank you for the very good question, Anastasia. As you know, I'm an athlete myself, and I find no problem at all with wearing a mask while doing one sport. However, the mask that will be produced for the runners and the race walkers who are doing distance sports will be a little different from some of the others. So they will allow relatively easy breathing. It is true that this does give some resistance, and that the results will probably not be the best ever recorded. However, one must understand that a win is a win, and in the circumstances that we are in, the athletes will have to accept the situation. We do know that athletes very often, when they are going to participate in high areas like the Mexico City Olympics, for example, for months before that, wore special masks to simulate the very thin air in Mexico. Now they'll be running right down near sea level, but clearly there will be some resistance. So they can quite easily train themselves in the meantime by wearing those same masks that simulate a difficult breathing environment. I trust that answers your question.
Thank you.
I have one question for the. So it was basically proven that incubation time can last up to the 28 days, and you mentioned only 14 days of quarantine. I honestly mean that is not fair to all the athletes, because some of them can get infected in the meantime and then lose opportunity to compete. Is there any other solution? Maybe you should expose all athletes to the COVID-19 in advance and then cure them all, and then everyone can have the same opportunities.
An excellent question, Alexander. I think that it has several aspects to it. The one is that you feel the incubation period can be up to 28 days. I haven't seen that information anywhere. The average incubation period is 5.56 days. The normal outer limits of that, the 99% limits, are between 1 day and 21 days. So it's true that there may be some people that have gone over the 14 days. It is rather unlikely, however. The second part of the question was that why don't we purposely expose all the athletes to COVID-19 beforehand so that they can develop immunity, I presume? There are two aspects to the answer to that question. The first is that it is not yet proven that you do develop total immunity after having had the virus disease. It seems that at least a proportion of people do not develop immunity and can get it again. Secondly, if you look at death rates around the world of closed cases, death rates of closed cases around the world is currently sitting at 16%. Now, we accept that most of those people are perhaps older or less fit than our top athletes, but even if it were 1%, we wouldn't want to lose that 1% of our top athletes. I do not think that the risk of exposing our athletes beforehand is worth taking.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I have a question. What are the strong reasons you have to conduct this Olympics, first of all? Why are we conducting these Olympics? Why not postpone them at all for future date until everything is okay? What is the strong factors that say we should have this Olympics?
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. The answer to that question has got, again, two sides. First of all, you ask why not postpone them? The problem with that is that the virus is not leaving next year. The COVID virus is likely to be around for perhaps 5 years, which would mean not only this Olympics, but the next one as well. You could say, well, let's do it anyway. Who needs the Olympics? Well, I can tell you who needs the Olympics. There are millions of young people around the world who are athletes who want to see themselves perhaps one day in the Olympics. People's lives are run around this. Their entire point that they want to live their life out is to be able to become an Olympic athlete. And to disappoint these people, even having postponed this by 1 year, would mean that there'll be a lot of young people who are disappointed because perhaps they have now passed over their peak during the 2020 year, which they'd been preparing for the 5 or 7 years beforehand. So now to take it away entirely is going to destroy the morale of all of those people. This too, we cannot do to our young people in the world. Their morale right now is so important to get us through the bigger challenge that we do have of the COVID-19.
Thank you.
Mr. President, who is going to pay for all the masks? And additional question, how do you imagine the masks working in water sports?
That is an excellent question, Mr. Riso. The payment for the masks is not a problem. That has been dealt with our sponsors, and there is no issue there. The masks for water sports, we have special materials that have been designed that will be able to be wet and still give some protection. The protection will not be as good as those with the dry masks. And of course, breathing will always have some difficulty, but with the particular design we have, we don't believe it will be any more serious for example, a swimmer than it would be for a marathon runner.
I have one question regarding protection for the swimmers, because they're wearing the mask, but almost the whole body is naked or unprotected. How are you going to prevent disease in this case?
Excuse me, I missed part of that. Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah, my question is regarding the swimmers. You mean you're going to ask them, or they need to wear masks as well, but the body of the swimmer is unprotected in the other part, and how in this case the mask only will not help.
Thank you, I understand. Yes, in fact, the mask will help because the COVID-19 virus gets into your body via mouth, nose, and possibly eyes. Most swimmers, in fact, I think all swimmers will be wearing goggles. And so the orifices in which the virus enters the human body will all be protected during the swim.
Mr. President, it has been proven that the virus can enter also through the ears. So how are you handling that with the masks?
Thank you for that question. That is no problem at all. We have special earplugs designed which will allow the swimmers to hear well enough to get the signals for swimming. You do know, of course, also that when we start swimmers, we have visual signs as well, so that if visually impaired swimmers, hearing impaired swimmers are swimming, that they can also swim equally well. So that isn't a problem. There will be visual and sound to start all races in this particular Olympics.
Yeah, one last question from my side. Do you want to eliminate any disciplines, or are you going to do the competition in all disciplines what are normally presented in the other, or that have been presented in the previous Olympic Games?
We will continue to use all the disciplines that have been in the Olympic Games, unless we find that some countries feeling that the situation is still too severe to send their teams to make up a reasonable number of competitors, in which case those competitions may be taken out of the Games. But I doubt that that's going to be the case, since we have already got a lot of input from our members around the world that they would accept these conditions.
And as a follow-up to Anastasia's question, what are you going to do about close contact sports like Greek-Roman fight or sumo?
They will continue, even though it's close contact. The competitors will be wearing the protective equipment.
Any more questions, anyone?
None from me.
I have a question. The swimmers, we have been told, will be wearing a specially designed mask made with a new material. Will this mask be delivered to the swimming contestants in time for them to train with it?
The masks are currently in production. They should be completed within the next 2 months. The only problem that we may expect there is where countries want to have masks with their own insignia on them. They will have to obviously still produce it in the future, because those are not being produced at the moment, and they may not get to the competitors in time. However, the masks that we are producing currently will be ready and available by the end of August this year.
And Mr. President, what do you think about fencers?
Are you speaking about
fencing? About fencer.
About fencing?
Fencing, yes, the fencers.
Yes.
About
well, of course, that's a sport which I have intimate knowledge of, and certainly there is no problem at all with that sport and these conditions. Do you have a more specific question about fencing?
No, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions to our president? Okay, if no, Mr. President, thank you very much. You did a really wonderful job. You answered all the questions.
Well done, Chris. You endured the interrogation.
Thank you for the opportunity. I must admit, I did not take the challenge lightly.
Yeah, it showed. But by the way, is that number that you quoted made up? The research about people showing up months in advance of the Olympics?
The number of people showing up.
Oh, which number was that?
To my question, because that's something I would be careful about. Yeah, you quoted that people. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite. Some people even go for individual matches or events.
Yes, no, I think people do normally. It's made up, but I think people do normally enter the country and leave the country at quite disparate times, simply because they do a bit of touring as well.
Okay, any feedback that you want to share?
That was a brilliant session. And Chris, you dressed up like Antonio Samaranch.
Yeah, totally. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
To the role.
You fit the role.
I love that it was prepared. He was ready with the numbers. He was ready with the research, and even when he was not ready, it didn't show up, which is always excellent.
Thanks, guys. I do say that the time must have helped, because this is the actual Cape Town Olympic bedtime of 2004. So I feel that it helped me through the process.
He actually dodged all the bullets, like everyone is firing at him. He was like that Matrix Neo, like he's like dodging all the bullets, like really impressive. And what other thing is that whatever he talks about, he talks with a confidence. Even the lie that he will say, he doesn't even believe. Like, come on, swimmers like wearing mask and
Yeah,
things.
that was well made up on the fly.
He could be a very good politician, yes.
Yeah, although you could be grilled, I really want to follow up on, is there any actual research on that material? Do you have any proof that it works? Or just counter arguments like, well, we know that humidity helps propagate the virus. So. But well done. Excellent. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris, and thank you very much to all stakeholders. And now we are going to the next session of our meeting, and it will be the prepared speech presented by Shakaya. And he will tell us about his story and the name of the topic. The topic he's presented. It's not easy. It's not easy to be me. Let's welcome Shahaya.
I can't stand to fly. I'm not that nice. I'm just out to find the better part of me. I'm more than a bird. I'm more than a plane. I'm more than some pretty face beside a train. It's not easy to be me. Madam meeting leader and my dear friends. Now you all be wondering, who the hell is this me? I'm Shake Kudaheke. Well, Shake, it's a very uncommon name, but with a strong meaning and a history. In ancient India, there was a powerful royal clan and named as Shakyans. Not only that, even the Prince Siddhartha, before he becomes the Lord Buddha, he was also a Shakya. And when it comes to the meaning, Shakya means being straightforward. So as my name suggests, I'm a very straightforward guy. So there won't be any backstabbing from me. So it's not easy to be me. Well, talking more about myself, I studied at Royal College Colombo 7, which is the largest school in Sri Lanka and the main school in as well. So first days of my school was not so good because I was always being picked up by a class bully. And he's always there to grab my lunch, grab my new pen, new pencil, whatever I bring to school, he's there to grab it. So I was always frustrated with him. One day, I watched a Bruce Lee film. And the next day, when I went to school, when he tried to bully me, I showed him the crouching tiger, the hidden dragon. And suddenly, everybody in the class gathered around and started to cheer. I felt like I'm a wrestling star. Oh yeah, you can't see me now, huh? Then a teacher was passing by and she saw all of this and she punished me thinking that I'm being a bully. So it's not easy to be me. Well, coming into my teen years, what can I say? I'm a very stubborn, an arrogant and a stupid teenager. One day, my uncle came with his mountain bike. So I thought that I will sneak into it without letting everyone to know and ride on it. Before I do, my grandfather saw this and he came and he warned me not to do so, that I will injure myself. But what can I say? I'm a stupid teenager with an arrogant mind. So I didn't listen to him and I got into that bike and rode like a rocket. And like he said, I ended up in the hospital for 6 months with a broken nose and I got this Harry Potter scar. So again, it's not easy to be me. Well, things changed. Actually, my whole world changed when I lost my father at the age of 15. We all as a family fell down from here to the rock bottom. And luckily, my mother was a very strong woman. She held up everything. And I'm standing in front of you all today because of her. In my life, I have been beaten up, pushed up, and even failed a lot of times. But every time I could see a silver lining in my life, even in the dark clouds. So I always try to overcome all those things because I always try to find the better part of me. So that's my life. So everyone's life is different from everyone. So that's why I'm saying it's not easy to be me. Over to you, meeting leader.
Yeah. Thank you, Shakaya. Thank you for sharing your personal story with us.
Thank you.
Okay. Dear participants, yeah, please give us feedback. Yep. Yep. Okay, while other people think, I would share my personal feelings. I really liked the way how you presented, that you used the gestures. At one moment I was afraid that, and at the same time I was really pleased, or I felt comfortable that I'm quite far away from you. And but I felt the situation, and it helped me to understand what you wanted to show and how you wanted to share your personal story. And the poses that you used, the voice, it was really self-confident. What yeah, I would like to recommend you for the next time. Please prepare the camera before you present. There was some issues with the light, and yeah, in the offline meetings it's not a problem, but in the online meetings there is quite an important aspect. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. It was really a wonderful speech.
Thank you very much.
I would like to say a few words. Shakia, the more we get to know you, the more we realize you are such a versatile speaker. I mean, you have proven such a wide range of means of expression. You have sung for us, and you have a wonderful voice, and I wrote that in the chat. Congratulations, that was a brilliant beginning. And then you had this twist in the tail, I like the way you switched the tone, presenting your life as a teenager as an arrogant bully, so-called bully, and then you presented that period in your life when everything turned upside down with the death of your father, and I really like this twist. It's brilliant. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. The first time that I get to know that my voice is good because everyone is mocking me for singing.
Can I speak as evaluator, or it's in the end, this part?
Just a second. Yeah, I guess you can give your feedback. Yes, like evaluator. Yes, please.
Okay. Shakia, you are definitely a dynamic and enthusiastic and funny speaker. And that's why from the beginning, you got my attention right away. You had a speech well structured, and you explain your feelings and your thoughts through introduction. That was very, very nice. The body and the conclusion. And you repeat us more than one time that it's hard to be yourself. So yeah, I think we got it with all your stories. I loved your storyteller role. You told us stories relevant that may be also inspiring us, at least me. You talk about your experiences that can be translated into a lesson. Great. So maybe having told those true stories had also consequences, a lot of movement of your hands and head in order to reinforce your ideas and your thoughts, the meanings. Just pay a little bit attention, because sometimes gestures can be distracting if overused. And the audience may look, may focus on your arms flying around and lose concentration on your words. Just a thought. I liked also that you had a voice variation and the rate variation and the voice inflection based on what you were telling us. So you kept the lively and rapid rate when communicated something humorous or enthusiastic, and a moderate one when you wanted to speak about something serious. So this variation and voice inflection allowed you to highlight better the main points and kept the audience more engaged. The last thing, you've shown us that you really believed your experience and thoughts were unique for you. And yeah, that also made your story interesting. And yeah, helped me understand not only who you are, but also why you are the way you are. Yeah, at the end, with all those situations not so easy, yeah, at the end you came out from each of one stronger, and you showed that for you every cloud has a silver lining. So yeah, good job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your evaluation. Yes. Okay, and now we're going to our hottest part of the meeting, and the hot question master of today will be Adita.
Yes, I am. And who will be the volunteer? First volunteer.
And we have some people who didn't talk today. Bogdan, probably.
Hello.
I'd like to volunteer as well.
Okay. So my first question is, imagine a situation that you have a crystal ball which know all about your future life. You can ask this crystal ball once. Only you have only a question. This crystal ball can answer only yes or no. What will be your question and why?
Well, this is a tricky question because the crystal ball is only giving me one piece of information, what is known in computer science circles as a single bit, one way or the other. So, of course, I can ask all sorts of interesting questions, but where it really becomes interesting is the question of whether or not my life would still be the same. For example, if I were to ask crystal ball whether I would say ever travel to America, and it says no, and then because I'm feeling contrary, I promptly book my ticket and travel to America. So you see, there is a possibility for the answer to change my life and therefore to change what the answer would be. To get the maximum impact from a one-bit answer, we look again to computer science. We find that if you have my future is a myriad of possibilities. And to get the most impact from one answer on this myriad of possibilities, I need to phrase my question in such a way that the one answer affects half of those possibilities. I'm not quite sure what my question would be, but that's definitely the place to start, is by looking at things where half of the possibilities are affected. So possibly, for example, I might ask, would it be better for me to stay where I'm living or move on to somewhere else? No, that's not a yes or no question. I'd have to ask, would I do better staying where I'm living? Then if it's yes, I say I'm living. If it's no, I look for opportunities to move. Something along those lines I think would be the most effective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Who will be the next volunteer? Okay. So, imagine the situation that you are a minister of education and you must tell the teachers that all physical schools will be closed. How will you explain it to your colleagues? That the education will be only online.
Who is the volunteer? Okay, Bogdan?
I thought that it was Chris, but I don't.
Okay, Bogdan, could you? Yeah, it's the best opportunity to take part in our meeting.
Okay, thank you. So if I were a Minister of Education, I will tell them as dear colleagues, now you know that situation is not good for all the world, and we need to postpone our education in the schools, in our schools, in our country. So I believe that we will have a good chance to continue our job and work. So every cloud has a silver lining, and you need to recognize that the situation is very difficult for all the world, and we need to postpone our lessons. But we, I am as Minister of Education, I will order to all the principals to make classes online, so children won't be without education, and our country will pay for that lessons to you, and you won't need some goodies for existing. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you too. Okay, who will be the next volunteer?
Maybe Florina. Yeah, she's measuring the time today, but she didn't speak almost at all.
Okay. Yeah, so imagine the same situation. You are the Minister of Education, and you must tell the children that they will study all of the subjects, not only in their mother tongue but in English too.
Okay. So, dear parents and dear children, as the Minister of Education, I have to make a big announcement, and I hope that this announcement will be taken with happy feelings from your side. I was thinking, in order to improve the teaching method, to learn the subjects in schools, also in other language. And as we all know that English is an international language, I thought that it would be a good idea to make this decision as improving our language skills, and also to have a plus in our educational system. Also, I would be very proud to announce that we are the first we are part of the first countries to implement this system. Of course, that at first maybe you will be a bit skeptical, or maybe you will have some questions, but together with the teachers and of course you, as you are the main characters in this system, we hope that it will be a successful plan. Thank you.
Edita?
Okay. So, who will be the next volunteer?
Probably Julian.
Okay.
Julian, are you still here?
I am.
Okay.
What you want from me? What it's about?
You're muted.
I'm the new Minister of Education again.
Edita, what is your question?
You're muted.
Unmute, please.
So now you hear me or not? Yes. So imagine the situation that they are two persons bitten by a poison snake. One person is a person who loves you And the second person is the person who is your love. Whom will you give the anti-poison if you have only one anti-poison?
Oh. I didn't understand very well the question, but it's about two people who was poisoned, and I have one anti-poison
Yes.
dose, and who will be the people I will save?
Yes.
One of them I love, one of them I don't love. I don't know him. This is the question.
You know him, and you know that he or she loves you.
Oh, so again, one person I love, him or her, and she loves me, the second person. Oh,
yes,
it's difficult. Very strange question. 50-50, it's not possible to. I don't know. I really don't know. It's a very difficult question. I need time to think about it. I don't
quickly,
found,
quickly, she's going to die.
Mouth to mouth. My English it's not very well. I don't know what
Just
to say.
say someone.
both of them. The person I love. Why? I don't know. It's maybe I will take with a coin.
Maybe we need a section on making decision making.
Very weird situation. What you gonna do, Edita?
So it's a.
you ask me. You put me this question, and I think you already have an answer for that.
So I will save the life of the person who I love. It's my answer is a similar.
And why?
Because I
This
love
is
him
the problem.
or her. It will be the reason to save him or her.
It's about the heart, the feelings. I agree, but I want the reason more powerful, and it's powerful enough, of course. But okay, thank you for the question.
Okay, who will be the last victim?
Can we give some chance to Alexander, because he's always been sitting there and hosting all of those things now?
Where's my mute when I need it?
So, who is the next victim?
Shiyan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name in the right way.
Sham.
Oh.
Yeah, from Nepal.
So, the proverb says that the paradox of internet is that the internet connects the people that are far from each other, and disconnects the people who are near each other. So my question is, can the internet in future change the relationships in the society? In what way can it change?
You're on mute. We cannot hear you.
Will you please repeat the last line?
So, in what way can change the internet in the relationships in a society?
I agree with you that internet has changed our lives in many ways. If I have to relate it in my personal life, I was associated with internet only in my high school, considering it came quite late in our country. Yeah, you might be considerably correct that it has disconnected or it has create a problem within the family members who are near to us. But what I personally believe is the past normal and the future normal would be different. Internet would definitely be an integral part of our life, and then it would help us to build better relation with the near ones as well. It is not only the internet, it also depends on the culture, upbringings, growings, values that we inculcate, that we live with, which helps in this way. Definitely, internet, gadgets, and these things has changed our life and maybe brought some problems to the near ones. But I don't think we can ignore internet. This is a part of our life.
Vezi că e Orban la televizor cu declarații, poate zice ceva.
Julian, could you please put yourself on mute?
Sorry.
So this will definitely help us in some better way. Over to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, Edita, do you have any other questions?
No, it was my last question.
Okay, thank you very much. The questions today were really hot. And the discussions was live, which I really like. And Julian, thank you very much for arranging all this conversation.
Sorry, I forgot to close the mic.
No, I mean when you answer the question. That is the way how we're sharing the responsibility or sometimes that we cannot find the decision. Okay, before we go to the official evaluation, probably does anyone want to share his feelings or feedback about the questions, or does anyone want to answer any question in other way? Please don't be shy. Okay.
I would like to raise the point. One of the questions said that internet connects people far apart or disconnects people close together. I'd like to disagree. sometimes it doesn't have to disconnect people close together.
Yeah, right point.
That's if you're living in the same house, right?
And overall, I like to say that that hot topic questions were really, I mean, it's not just a questions. Actually, something that you have to really think, and it makes that every one of the ones who have participated for that one to think, and even some people got even trouble even there as well. So it's kind of like a tricky one, but interesting one as well. So it was really interesting hot topic session overall, I think.
Yeah, probably one advice from my side. This hard question section is it means to do unprepared speech. That means, yeah, please, when you answer this question next time, you don't necessarily need to give the honest answer or what you actually think. You need to do the any answer what comes to your mind at that moment. And yeah, when we take into consideration station, when we need to save one's life, it doesn't mean that you're actually saving this life right now. It's just what the theory, what can happen or not. Okay, thank you very much. And now we're going to the structured official feedback of this section. But we don't have anybody. Does anybody wants to give the official feedback to the section? Gabriela, probably you, because you normally are giving a very nice evaluation.
Thank you very much, but I have my own section to present in 10 or 20 minutes, so I would rather allow someone else to speak. I'm sure there are many people who would like to do that. For instance, Koka.
What was the question, Anastasia? I didn't get you.
Oh, sorry. I mean, could you please give your feedback to the section what we just had question section?
Hot questions by editor. Right. The topics were intriguing. I mean, it made you think, like Shaki has just said, and they were interesting. And especially, I like the one about the antidote. You know, it got me thinking, who would I give it to? Yeah, the topics were interesting, and I think it got everybody to participate in them. She has done brilliantly, Anastasia.
Okay, thank you very much. And I guess we have one person who has not joined us before, Nicholas. Maybe you can share your feelings, your impression about this section. How do you find it? Nicholas, you put you on mute. We cannot hear you. We still cannot hear you. No.
She's
yeah, sometimes it happens.
Oh, there she is.
Reconnecting.
Okay. Nicholas, can you hear us? But we cannot hear you. You're still on mute. You are mute. Yeah, now you can speak.
So you hear me now? Sorry, what is again your question?
Could you please share your impression about the session, your feelings, what you found very well, what you could improve, how you could answer any in another way any questions?
The session. Well, I think it's a good good group of people, and everybody's listening. And actually, this is my second time, so I don't know if I joined late or, but yeah, answering question, I think it takes time to, to understand and have more information before answering it. I don't know if I make sense.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your feedback. Okay.
Thank you too.
Okay, now we will have another session of our meeting, and this session will be hosted by Gabriela. Language improvement games. Gabriela, welcome on stage.
Thank you very much. I've been missing talking to people. Now, so although it's a session dedicated to language improvement games, we're going to speak nonsense today. I teach English, so I'm really interested in how to increase my students' confidence without making them feel embarrassed or shy in front of other students. So it's something that has been practiced all over the world. This is speaking nonsense or using gibberish to increase your confidence. So I sometimes ask them to just invent a language and speak in front of their classmates without saying anything, just using their body language and voice in a meaningful way. So what we're going to do today is somehow related to this, to speaking nonsense and saying mostly nothing. So if you don't mind, will you join me in this? Yeah, thank you. Now, and this is based on evidence, on statistics. It says that, well, scientists, British scientists say that 37% of what we say is based on our voice. 55% of what we say is based on our body language. We're lucky enough not to be able to see our bodies when we speak here. And only 7% is based on our content. So according to this statistics, what I'm going to invite you to do makes perfect sense to me. Now, I need a volunteer for this. Before I tell you what you have to do, so who would like to join me in this? Okay, Chris, thank you very much. So, Chris, yes, this is what you will do. You will choose a job you don't know much about and invite a friend to interview you about it, and you will have to answer their questions as though you were a well-informed expert. So this will help you to improve your delivery and authority. So you would have to sound like an expert on an area that you don't know much about. Let's say, I don't know, gardening or cooking. Do you agree?
Just one point to clarify before I begin. Do I have to first ask the friend to question me and then answer the questions, or do I immediately go into the answering of the questions?
You will choose an area first, a topic, and then you will ask a friend. Is that okay?
But it's all in gibberish.
No. It can be English.
Well, then I haven't understood the challenge yet.
Yeah, what I mean is that sometimes using gibberish helps us be more creative with our language, because the biggest part of our problem when we speak in public is that we don't trust our body language. So we need to increase our confidence. So by apparently speaking about a subject you don't know much about, you will seem an expert. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. But I can ask somebody else in the team to ask me the question.
Yes, yeah.
Excellent. Coca, I would like to ask you to please ask me the questions, and you can choose the subject. So you choose some area of work which I have to apply for, and ask me the related questions. Do you agree?
Right. Okay. You're an astronaut and you've been into space several times. That's your expertise, being an astronaut. Right. Okay. The question I'm going to ask you is, how do you withstand the G-force when you're taking off? And what do you do? What goes through your mind when you're passing through when you're on the takeoff velocity?
Every time I take off, I have the same experience. I feel for that entire period as if I'm about to die. However, I found that if one closes your eyes and concentrates on being calm, concentrates on your breathing, then the time just flows through and you get past that period remarkably quickly.
Right. Okay. Is there somebody else who would like to ask him a question on being an astronaut? Somebody else can share a question.
Do you have to wear masks in space for COVID-19?
You have to wear a mask in space because there is no oxygen. And I can tell you that it's very uncomfortable to spend all that time with a mask on. Fortunately, once you get into the space station, it is oxygenated and you can manage without the mask. Else it would be simply impossible to live for months without, with having the mask on. But during the takeoff and later on with the landing, you do wear a full space uniform with mask to help you to breathe. The oxygen is normally also slightly improved on Earth oxygen so that you can be ready for any events that occur.
I have a question for you, Chris. How has this pandemic changed your life as an astronaut?
As an astronaut, it hasn't really changed my life very much because, the situation, we tend to live in a separate facility where we can keep our fitness and get medical attention to make sure that we're in peak condition. So I still go out for my 20-kilometer run every morning, and I find that helps to keep me strong. Fortunately, there are so few people in the facility that there is no need in this area to wear any masks while running, which is very useful. Otherwise, the only impact on me has been my fear for the people of the world, especially for those who feel that this is nothing to worry about. I do have a scientific background and have looked at the numbers and the projections and made my own projections. And I can tell you from that point of view, it is very scary.
Thank you,
Right.
Chris.
To you, Gabriela.
Yeah, thank you. I need another volunteer for my next exercise, which is making up a definition. So I will give you a word that exists in I've just looked it up in the Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English, but I need a volunteer first. So you will have to improvise, to pretend you know that what this word means, and explain. to everybody what it means, although you don't know what it means. Is that okay? Yeah?
I volunteer.
Yes, Shakya, thank you very much. Shakya, this word, although it sounds French, is not. I mean, it has been, of course, accepted in the Dictionary of Contemporary English. This word is mange tout.
I'm sorry, what? Mange
Mange tout. I'm going to write it. No, I'm going to write it here. I hope you don't know French.
Yeah, I have no idea. Mange, okay.
Mange tout, oui.
Wow. Okay. So now what I have to do is that I have to come with a some kind of a
to explain what it means with confidence.
Okay, a fake. I have to come up with my kind of a definition for this word, right?
Yes.
Right. So can I spell it any way that I can?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So hi everyone. Today I'm going to explain the word marshaled. So which means that you can be anything that you want. So it's a Sri Lankan phrase that you can be finding in Sri Lanka. It's been used that you can whenever you feel something to be changed, you use this in Asian Sri Lanka. We use this term to improvise things and also to make everyone to encourage to overcome things. So that's the definition of the marshaled, the word.
Oh, thank you so much. I haven't had so much fun in a while. Now, mange tout is actually a vegetable that you can eat. You can eat everything about it. Its root, its leaves, but that was excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Would anyone else like to try this? Because I have many other games. If you don't want this one.
Yeah.
Yeah? Anyone? No?
Alexander?
Okay, if need be.
Yeah, Alexander, my word for you is manatee. I'm going to write it here.
Okay. Let's pretend I'm an expert on that word, and I will tell you that to manatee is to be extremely focused and skilled at something. It's exactly the opposite of being in a wall that Chris mentioned last week. It's to be focused, energetic, passionate, extremely interested in doing something. So you could say, I'm manatee on Agora, I'm manatee on playing the piano, I'm manatee on doing something. And it shows that extreme commitment that characterizes our members.
Thank you. Yeah, well, a manatee is a large sea animal with flippers, but that was excellent, much better than the word itself.
I had to fight with it because I knew the meaning, the actual meaning. I knew the animal.
So sorry, I should have looked better. Right. Okay. Now, the next game is called Gush About Something You Don't Love. So you will have to find something in your life that you don't love, you don't even like, and gush about it. So let's say expressing enthusiasm about the things around you, like a kitchen utensil, may make your life look better. So let's pretend that we just love something we don't actually love. Would like to do that? Let's gush about it. Anastasia, would you like to try?
Yes, I can try. I just have the situation like you described.
Yeah. So yes.
Yeah. The background. I just came back from Russia to Germany last week, and now I need to stay at home for the next 2 weeks and I'm not allowed to go out. And I really enjoy the time because I don't need to change my clothes. I mean, I don't need to wear any coat or anything else. And yeah, I do whatever I want to do. I stand up when I really want to stand up, to get up at 10 or a.m. or at 2 p.m. And I have already watched a lot of the movies what I didn't watch before. And at the moment, we need to keep social distance in the real world offline. That means I contact my friends only via Zoom or any other platform, Skype. It means I don't lose the time just going around on the streets and alone, because I can contact everyone whom I would like to contact. And yeah, I breathe in fresh air when I just go out on the balcony, and I don't meet the people my neighbors, whom some of them I don't like, and I don't need to speak to them. Don't need to greet them, and I don't need to go out to buy and to visit any shops. And the food is brought by my friends. They just put it near to my door, and I take it. I really enjoy the time that I spend alone with me, and I can think about situation. I can invent any conspiracy theories about it and understand who actually needs all this. And I'm thankful to the life that gave me this opportunity.
Gosh, Anastasia, what can I say? Thank you. Florina, is the time limit for me or for Anastasia?
It was for Anastasia, sorry. It was for Anastasia.
So, how long do I need? I mean, is there any 2, 3? Sorry?
I think you started at 20 past 12, so you're close to the limit for your time.
You can have the last game because we still have time.
Yes, okay.
We can continue this one, gushing about something we don't love, or try something else. Shyam, what about you? Would you like to try something? Your mic, please.
Could I try?
Yes. Would you like to try?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Would you like to try gushing about your screwdriver or corkscrew, or try something else?
Actually, I don't care.
Okay, so let's gush about your butcher knife.
Butcher knife?
Yes.
I don't know that word.
Yeah, well, it's a big knife that you must have in your kitchen. I'm sure you do. Or something about your kitchen, about your cooking skills, let's say.
Okay, I'm very good cooker, and really, I always use a butchering knife. It helps me to cut many vegetables, meat, and something else like hot dogs. So I like this kind of work. I usually prepare dishes for my family, and they are very happy that I'm using this butcher knife. So it's very good idea to use it for preparing tea and coffee also. So when you put sugar into coffee, you could use this knife and mix it. And I love the man who
That was
invented.
excellent. Yes, I do that too. I mean, coffee with my butcher knife. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Florina, I think that is all the time allotted to this section.
Yes, but I think Anastasia is the leader, so she decides. I'm just counting.
Now, if you have any interesting game that you would like to play with us, and if you have any volunteers who would like to take part,
Yeah, I have another one. It's about making a commercial. So in 1 minute, you should sell us something you have at home, something like a sponge or an eraser or something, but pretend we have to buy it. I mean, convince us to buy that thing. So you have to make a presentation in 1 minute about something around you, an object, a simple object. Would like to try that?
Sham? Oh, Sham, sorry.
He's just talked about his butcher knife, so.
I think it was Bahtan.
Yeah, Bogdan or Julian?
I was last time.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know.
Maybe
Tamara?
Florina? Oh, sorry.
Can I be a volunteer?
Yes.
So I have such a magic pen, and I advise you to buy it because it is really magic. All plans that you write by it, they all come true, and I have checked it not one time. So I propose you to buy it.
Excellent, excellent. Would anyone else like to sell us anything else?
Maybe Florina?
Okay, I have this sheet of paper, which it is very good with the pen that Tamara presented us because it is an infinite sheet of paper. Everything you are writing on it, it will come true if it is written with the pen from Tamara. And also, after the plans are coming true, everything disappears. So it's a forever sheet of paper. You can use it all your life. So you need to buy it, but with the pen that Tamara said about it.
Yeah, thank you. That was better than I imagined. Thank you, Anastasia. So I'm giving the floor back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this very interesting, encouraging, and helping us to improve our language skills part. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed your answers. Okay, and now we are coming to the end part of our meeting, and I'm giving the floor to Alexander and ask him to share or to give us feedback of the whole meeting.
We first will have to hear from the timer and the grammarian.
Ah, yeah, sorry, you're right. Okay, the timer, Florina, could you please share the information, who was on time, who not, and so on?
I'm glad to say that most of the people who talked today were really in time. It was very rare for me to show the red paper, the red clock. I think that everyone has improved their talking skills, and they learned how to manage their speeches in order to be effectively and to transmit all the ideas. Congratulations to all of you.
Florina, thank you very much for your feedback. Thank you for measuring the time. And now,
No problem.
Koka, could you please provide your feedback about our
Right.
Myro?
Thank you, Anastasia. The word of the day was used by 5 people. Tamara used it, Chris used it, Shakia used it, Lulia used it, and Bodan. All of you, congratulations. Give them a big round of applause, please. Right. And some good language I've heard today from Tamara, speaker number 1. To make a long story short, a good expression, and you use that. Those dark times, to describe something that is memorable or something you remember sadly, those dark times, sad times, good expression to use. Revive from the ashes, that's also a nice expression to use. Now, Shakya, I heard, I will injured myself. I'm not sure whether I heard I injured myself or I will injure myself or I injured myself. Something there, something was missing there. Describing your mother, you said she held up everything. I would think she held us together would have been a good expression, just an advice there. Gabriela, to describe Shakya as a speaker, you said he's a versatile speaker. That's a good use of language, versatile, right? And Boden, he said, I'm a good cooker. I think you meant I'm a good cook. That's all for me. But overall, everybody used this word, the idiom, every cloud has a silver lining. I'm so glad you all made my day. Thank you very much. Over to you, Anastasia.
Thank you, Koka, for your great job. Thank you for your feedback. And now finally we're going to our end part of the meeting, the end part of our meeting, and I'm giving the floor to Alexander. Alexander, welcome on the stage.
Let me pretend I'm moving there. Thank you, Anastasia. Okay, my role is the meeting evaluator, so some general feedback about the roles that haven't been evaluated so far. First, about the meeting leader, Anastasia or Anastasia or Anastasia. What is the proper pronunciation, actually?
Anastasia.
Anastasia, okay.
Anastasia.
I like the way you took control and you were in control and in charge of the meeting the whole time, especially pushing people here and there. Like, for example, the hot questions master when she was a bit silent or dubitative about which volunteer to pick. A bit of a suggestion there is to try to do that kind of like surgical interventions out of band, meaning through private chat, or if you're in a real meeting, like going to the person and while someone else is speaking, if possible. If not, you do have to take control, obviously, during the meeting itself in front of everyone. I like that you started punctually. 5 minutes of courtesy should be more than enough time. In Japan, it would be terribly late. 5 minutes of courtesy there is being 10 minutes early only. What I also like that you ask for feedback for the different sections. Now, things that I would improve is adding a short introduction about Agora at the beginning and about the purpose of the club. What do we do here? Especially since we have viewers that are not aware of what the hell is going on here. It would be useful, since we don't have a printed agenda or we don't even share the screen with it, to have like an outline of at the beginning of the meeting about what to expect. And that, by the way, would have helped you notice that we don't have a hot questions evaluator, so you could react and say, okay, so since we're missing a hot questions evaluator, and I see a new face joining here from Nepal, so Shyam, you are the hot questions evaluator, get ready for it. Because at the end of the day, you have to, these things happen. Even if there was a hot questions evaluator, maybe he didn't show up. So that's something that we need to do in real meetings, here or anywhere else. A general comment about the rest of the roles, I would suggest it's important actually that you explain the purpose of the role. I mean, why we measure time, why we have the role of the grammarian, why we do hot questions. It's not just for entertaining ourselves, which also, but for example, Florina did that at the end, although I would place that at the beginning, that time is limited in real life. You don't get to speak 2 hours or 4 hours, and you have a very limited time in which to express your ideas. So the purpose of the timer is helping you develop that inner sense of time so that you can be succinct and concise. Especially important when speaking to the media where you don't get a second chance and time is really strict to the second. Same for the grammarian. What's the purpose of the idiom or word of the day? It's to help us think on our feet, improvise, and not memorize speeches. I liked from Florina the way she improvised. Well, they weren't improvised, they were very well prepared actually. The timing signals, very funny, very visible. Yeah, totally. I like that you made them very easily, let's say, available. In the report, I would have liked to hear a bit more about where we were over time and under time, especially because I felt that in the hot questions, some people were well beyond the 1 minute limit. And Julian, I think, while he was pondering on which person to save or whether it's going to be Donald Trump or someone else from Hawaii, he went well over the limit. For the grammarian for Coca, I love that it was very well prepared, that it was an idiom, not a word of the day. It can be an idiom, it can be an expression. So well done there. He even had it on a screen, on a slide, he shared it. I especially like that he clapped every time. I don't know if you noticed that the idiom of the day was used. That's a great idea. Maybe we should copy it, Coca, with your permission. And I liked also the report that he made in the end about good and bad usage of language. One thing I missed is the and counting. I don't know if you thought that this was something for someone else's role, or, but at least here we do it together. Grammarian, filler word counter, the same thing.
Okay, I missed it then. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I thought so. And apart from that, I think it was an excellent meeting. And about the language games, I enjoyed all of them. I think the first one was a bit, let's say, unclear at the beginning. And I think we should have picked someone else because Chris already endured a round of questioning as head of the IO.
Yes.
Yeah, probably someone else would have been a better choice for that kind.
Sorry, he volunteered.
No, but you're the leader of that section. You should take control. It doesn't matter who volunteers. Make the decision. Lead. Yeah. The rest of them were very original. In fact, the one about what was it about the moral things gave me some ideas that we could try in different sections. You'll see. So that's all from me. Back to you, Anastasia.
Yes, thank you very much for your feedback, structured and encouraging, and at the same time with a lot of recommendation feedback. We will for sure take it in account, and we will improve our next reports for next meeting. And thank you very much for your all with the participation in this meeting. I really enjoyed it today. I hope you enjoyed it as well. First, we got a lot of new information we practiced today, and this is the main purpose of the meeting. What I didn't mention at the beginning, and I would like to mention it right now. Practice is the best way to improve our presentation and communication skills. And at the end, I would say practice, practice, and practice. Speak, speak, and speak. And and I wish you a very nice weekend, very nice week. And
Okay.
sorry.
Before you close, I'd just like to share our club presentation, which we use in our club. All right, a quick one. I'll run you quickly through it. It's here. Right. This is the slides we use for our presentation. This is the first slide, and we move to the second slide. We show our club mission. And then we also tell them how the club meetings are. We have 3 sessions in the club meetings. One is the project speech session, one is the impromptu speech session, and the evaluation session. That's the feedback session, right? And then we have all the role players here. And we have the word of the day. That's how we usually present it. And we also have the speech objectives here. We run these particular. Maybe we can have one slide to show who are the meeting role players. You know, that's what I would suggest to have.
Thank you very much for your suggestion. Yes, it's a good idea to have some kind of presentation at the beginning and to explain to everyone what will happen. And maybe
just a suggestion.
Yeah, no, it's a good suggestion. Yeah, I agree. If Alexander, the organizer, agrees as well, then
it's the job of the meeting leader. The templates are on the webpage. You can have a PowerPoint template. You can have a Word template for the agenda. It just needs to be done.
Yeah, it's work. That's all. It's work.
Yeah, it's work. It's work. But it's a very good thing to have, actually.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. Again, before I'm closing the meeting, does anybody else have anything to say?
Speak now or shut up forever.
Yeah, I pasted the file in the chat box if somebody wants to use it for their meetings.
I have it. Maybe you should publish a message as well, though, Goka, in the group for something more persistent.
It's in the chat box now.
No, I mean in the international group.
I think because when we close the meeting, the chat box also going to be deleted.
All right. Okay, got your point. Thank you. Back to you, Anastasia.
Okay. Okay, then thank you very much once again for taking your time to participating in this meeting. I wish you a really nice weekend, nice week, and let's meet next Saturday.
Yeah.
Stay healthy.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
bye.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Stay safe.